Our world is getting softer, and this is a good thing. The harshness of life that was normal previously and acceptable is no longer tolerable. A good example of this is that we no longer allow children to be chimney sweeps because we have recognized the sensitivity and the tenderness of early life. And another example would be the discovery of trauma, that when soldiers come home from war, we now recognize that no matter how hard and tough soldiers are, that they are also deeply affected in the sensitivity of their humanity by war. And I believe that generation after generation of human beings have made the world a safer place, and we are able to relax. And in doing so, consciousness is expanding. Consciousness is expanding into the subtle dimensions, the places where tenderness exists, where trauma, where early childhood development and trauma are now accessible. We can finally see and feel these experiences because we are relaxing into them. So this video is about the impact of this relaxation of consciousness on our healing practices. So healing, again, we could start, this is my version of European history especially, the development of psychology. Even the name psychology is reference to the mind, to thinking, to thought. And I believe this is what was cutting edge, and the pushing the boundaries of human consciousness and development was to look at ourselves mentally, to have a self-concept, to analyze our dreams and our behavior, to think about ourselves deeply. And a good example of this is that in the psychoanalytic movement, you would have the patient lie on a chair, and you would have some off to the side, not looking at them, would be the analyst. Analyst would be taking notes, thinking about what's being said, and the patient would just sort of drift off into the subtle realm of their dreams and their thoughts and their subconscious, right? In a very mental way. And I would put this level of exploration at the fourth dimensional level. We're not exploring the physical world. We're exploring the mental world of images, dreams, and archetypes, and all the things that exist in this subtle liminal space. But over time, we are shifting. Our focus is now turning more and more to how we feel, to belonging and safety and shame and guilt and all the feelings that we have. And again, I believe this is because of safety. So I did another video very recently I invite you to look at. It's called Exploring the Dimensions of Consciousness. So I've just said this mental liminal space is the fourth dimension, and we're moving into the fifth dimension. We're expanding into a fifth dimensional experience. So briefly, what is the fifth dimension? Well, first we access it through our felt sense. So it's not a location, it's not a place somewhere else. It is our felt sense. It's the energy of our nervous system. Now, the more that you feel the energy of your nervous system, the more this reality, this dimension comes into focus. Emotion is all about connection, communication, and relationship, because the fifth dimension is a field of interrelatedness. It's a field where you and I are not separate. We are here together. In consciousness, it's the beginning of unity. I mean, physically we are separate, but at this level of emotion, of love, connection, attachment, of relationship, we are progressively moving to become more one. We are unified. So you begin your journey by feeling your nervous system, and as this comes to more and more life, you realize the unity of life. Life is one. We are all here together in one conscious experience. And you feel this. You feel this from your nervous system. For me, my felt sense of my body, of my heart, of my emotions, is not separate from the world. It's not contained by my physical body. And that's possible because it exists at a different dimension. So I'm still separate physically from my neighbor and from my desk, but at an emotional, at a fluid energetic level, we are one. So progressively, here we are. We left the analyst on the couch. They are pushing the boundaries progressively on the exploration, going deeper and deeper into the mind. And as this progress happens, we run into trauma. We run into emotion. We run into unprocessed emotion. And we have the beginning of catharsis, the idea that I have to get this emotion out of me. I have repressed desires. I have repressed energy. I'm storing energy from the past. I've got to get it out of me. And this is progressive. If you look in the 20th century, you'll see lots of movements that are based on catharsis, the idea that I've got to get this energy out of me. I'm not just relating to my thoughts anymore, but now I'm relating to my body and my energy. And again, this is a movement, a progressive movement. Today, we realize, especially in the somatic therapy world, that catharsis in and of itself is not productive, or it does not create healing. And the reason that is because we understand how the fifth dimension actually works. Because we are, as a culture, as a profession, as a species, we are looking more at this level of life where we feel love and grief and shame and tenderness and all the other things that we feel. We're starting to realize how this dimension, what the mechanics of this dimension of reality are. And what we are realizing is because the field is one, because it's about relationship, it's not enough just to get things out of you. It's more true that we are getting things into the field. So it's not so much that I'm holding pain in my body. I'm not trying to get pain out of me. I'm trying to get pain or energy into life. Because as I described, the fifth dimension is a unified field. It's one big pool of energy. And separateness is when I'm holding energy outside of that field. So in my work, what I believe is the cutting edge of healing practices is I don't have to work with my energy. It's not what do I do with my feelings or my thoughts. I don't have to figure out a strategy to deal with the repressed anger. I also don't have to think about it either. So what is the new doing that is an expression of a much clearer understanding of the fifth dimensional reality that we're moving into? The doing is I simply place my life in relationship, which means that when we share an experience, when I feel connection at the same time that I feel my body, my energy moves. I don't have to get energy out of me. My energy, all of my energy belongs in us. That's what it's designed to do. My thoughts, feelings, and sensations, the repressed energy or the stored energy of my body, it has a purpose. That purpose is to communicate, to be expressed, to be seen. So if I wanted to get emails out of my draft folder, I could just send them because they have a destination. Similarly, all my emotional content has a place to go, and that is to the world. And so we're moving from thinking about our body, thinking about ourselves, thinking about having a self-concept and working with ourselves mentally, to feeling energy and looking to move it, to creating relational spaces and practices where energy can move naturally. And as this progresses, as we become more and more clear about this, I expect more of our life to be conducted, more of our healing process to be conducted relationally. And this is what I am creating in this world, is a network, a place where this is possible. If you look at spiritual traditions, I also am very focused on awakening, the expansion of consciousness, that ultimately results in self-realization, but the expansion of consciousness into the felt sense of oneness, of love, and the other subtle qualities of consciousness. From an awakening perspective, if you look at the 20th century, much of the teachings that we have are based on thought. There's a very popular bumper sticker that you may have seen before that says, "Don't believe everything you think." Because just as psychology was very focused on the mental world, spiritual seekers have been very focused on their mental world. This is where "don't seek" come from, and "don't believe your thoughts." All of these teachings were a way of helping people to relate to the mental content that they had about themselves and their identity. If you look at spirituality in the 20th century or awakening teachers, they are very focused on creating some distance between you and your mental identity, which we called your ego. So today, in healing practices, we realize that our thoughts are only one part of the stream of energy that we need to be paying attention to. We are learning to simultaneously track what I think and how I feel. I'm learning to expand my focus. We are learning to expand our focus to include more and more of the felt sense. What this means is that it's not so much that I don't believe my thoughts, but that I can track the energy that's generating them. My thoughts are never disconnected from the energy of my nervous system. My nervous system doesn't have two parts. There's not a mind and a body. There is one nervous system. Trauma fragments and disintegrates this nervous system into parts. But the truth is, my nervous system is one. There is one flow of energy. This one flow of energy that is me exists in this one flow of energy that is us, that is the global body and the unified field at a fifth dimensional level. So the evolution of healing practices it's about becoming much more in tune with how I am feeling, what is happening in my body, and the stored pain that I have. And it's not enough just to recognize this. It's becoming increasingly important how others, how my life, how the world is relating to me. So you see this especially in social movements in our culture and the tremendous cultural shift. We are becoming very focused on the safety and inclusiveness of our society. The pains that are arising in our culture everywhere right now are all at the fifth dimensional level. Because we have not attended to this level previously, because we've not been able to recognize it, there is a tremendous backlog of emotion, of energy that needs to be processed and shared. And that processing is going to happen publicly. It's not going to happen privately. Because this pool of energy is designed to be shared and seen by all people, this is not something that we are going to do by ourselves with our eyes closed. It's something that we're going to do relationally. And this is a way to reinterpret the conflict that you can see all around you. Like, for example, in the upcoming elections or the wars that are occurring in the world. At a fifth dimensional level, meaning at the level of energy, of care, of body, of emotion, of relatedness, we are beginning to recognize the deep pain that we are all carrying here. And this is not going to go away. There's no way to fix this at a third dimensional level or a fourth dimensional level, which means that we can't think our way out of this conflict. We can't take actions that will correct this conflict because the pain and the problem is at a lower level. The equitable society, the equitable world that we need is a reflection of what the fifth dimension actually is a unified field where all things are included, where all things belong. And to create that world, to manifest that world, we actually have to learn that's a feeling, that occurs at the level of the felt sense. It doesn't occur at the level of a government representation necessarily, or the thoughts or words that we use. Those are important, of course, but ultimately a unified field, a safe, inclusive world exists at a more subtle level. And we are all being called to do that. Again, so what we are invited to do is to shift our focus to this deeper level. This is what I teach. This is what I am creating in the world as a pool of capacity that can relate at a more subtle level. And again, if you are seeking awakening, if your intention is to be conscious, then therapy is becoming deeper. Therapy is becoming spiritual. The therapeutic traditions that I am a part of, that I teach, relating to trauma in the body, are no different from Vipassana or traditional body-based meditation. They're at the same level of a unified field that the spiritual traditions are, which means that if you are seeking awakening, relational practice and therapy and dealing with engaging with the content of body and mind is more productive than ever. We don't just have to distance ourselves from our thoughts. We don't just need what we needed previously, which was space from the mental identity. We can engage with the energy of the body and facilitate the reunification of the fifth dimensional level. We can heal the fabric of our world that exists as our felt sense. We can heal this fabric by actively participating in our relational processes. And in doing so, we open ourselves to the oneness of life, the singular nature of consciousness, which progressively unfolds until the transcendent truth of life is clear. Again, I invite you to watch the video I did on the dimensions of consciousness, exploring the dimensions of consciousness, which is another way to look at this issue. And in the comments below, please let me know the things that resonate with you, that stand out, that don't make sense. This helps me know what content to make next, because this journey that I'm on is a relational process as well. I hope this helps.